The Super Bowl, did you know this? The Super Bowl is the second biggest day of food consumption in the United States, only coming after Thanksgiving. A lot of the food left out for hours while people watch the game. You know, that game goes on forever, pre-game and all that. So joining us to tell us how to avoid getting sick and for how to avoid getting our guests sick, too, is the director of the Supply Chain Food Safety. We get that right, Robert?
You nailed it.
All right. From NSF International, Robert Prevendar. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so I guess I want to ask you, first of all, is it a big food sickness day, Super Bowl Sunday?
Well, it can be. Obviously, there's a lot of consumption. As you mentioned, it's the second biggest day for serving food, so there are potential risks out there. At NSF International, we're a public health and safety company. Our focus really is food safety. And so there are some ways.
Do you go to people's houses, not for your job? I know for your job you do restaurants and that sort of thing. But when you're out at a party, do you find yourself kind of, skeeved out when you look around and concerned?
Not so much. My friends know how to take care of food. They know I'm coming, so they look
I'd
after
be so
these
nervous.
things well.
You're coming to my house? Oh my goodness, I'd be putting the rubber gloves on. Okay, so what do we do first?
Well, great question. First thing, anytime you're going to start preparing food is you always want to wash your hands.
Yes.
And over here we have soap and water. Good hand washing is very important. A good rule of thumb is about 20 seconds. A lot of people use the alphabet song, for example, as a guide.
Okay.
My kids like to help out in the kitchen a lot, and so it's important that if you've got kids that help out in the kitchen, that they wash their hands as well.
And these are for your hands. These are nice. I'm going to use one right now, Robert.
There you go.
Okay. Listen, why do you have the sponges there? Don't those just harbor bacteria?
They actually do. We did a germ study last year.
Okay.
NSF determined that the sponge is actually the dirtiest place in the kitchen. So
it's all stinky and gross.
Yeah, so you want to make sure you clean those well, and a good tip is to microwave them.
If
you're going to reuse them,
all right.
if you're going to reuse them, you can microwave them for about 2 minutes, and that's a good way to kill the bacteria. Absolutely.
Now, what about your dish rags when you put those in the microwave? Does that work too?
Sure. Yep.
So 2 minutes?
2 minutes is a good rule of thumb. Yeah, that should kill most bacteria.
I love that. Okay, yeah, we did that experiment here a couple of years ago, tried to blast out the germs. Okay, so we know we have to be clean and microwave the sponges. What else?
Well, we've got cutting boards here, different color cutting boards, so you want to make sure that when you start preparing your food, you're keeping your raw meat separate from your veggies.
Now, do you need all these, or can you just wash the cutting board?
Absolutely, you can wash them, but I mean, on a Super Bowl Sunday, you've got a lot of guests coming, a lot of food to prepare. Having multiple cutting boards and separating raw from...
And having them color-coded is good.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Okay. I was supposed to be following this. I got to follow this so we don't get in trouble. Okay, so cross-contamination.
Yep.
All right, undercooked food. Let's talk about that.
Yes, cooking temperatures is extremely important for food safety. Here we have some chicken wings, and you want to make sure you always observe proper cooking temperatures. At nsf.org, we have great tips for consumers on all of the cooking temperatures and how to follow those. Chicken wings, 165 degrees. You want to make sure you check those temperatures.
All right.
A probe thermometer like this is something that every kitchen should have, so you can check cooking temperatures and make sure that you're cooking things at proper temperatures.
All right, I want to talk about keeping hot foods hot and cold foods cold. Yeah. So how long can, for example, this is some kind of nacho dip?
Yep, that's right. This can be out throughout the entire game as long as you maintain temperature. So for hot foods, you want to keep them above 140 degrees.
Okay.
Cold foods below 40 degrees.
All right, and so you could keep this out the whole game in that ice bath?
Yeah, well, it should maintain it at 40 degrees or below. Yeah, we have an example here of a cold dip on ice. It's a good idea. It's a good tip to kind of help keep it cold throughout the duration. It's also a good idea at halftime to switch out one dip for the other. As far as a new one, take the old one out. That way you can make sure you bring out some fresh dip, make sure it stays cold throughout the entire game.
It's a halftime switcheroo.
It's a ritual.
It's a dip switch.
Dip switch.
Right.
Excuse me, I have to go. Where are you going? I'm making the dip switch.
I'm doing the dip switch.
That would be my job, by the way, at Dina's house, right?
Right.
Ruth, don't you have something to do right now?
You have many jobs.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Now,
I was going to ask one question. How dangerous is it? For instance, let's say you got ranch dressing and you don't do the dip switch because Dina distracts you and you can't get
because
the
you're too cheap to
actually buy another dip. No, but what happens if it's not on ice? What are the risks?
The potential is the growth of bacteria. For example, if you think about putting a dip out before the game, you've got a pre-game, you've got the whole game, you've got the post-game, and you go through that whole process. You're talking about several hours, and that's taking a risk.
And what you can also do to be super safe is put out stuff that's not going to perish. Like what do you got going on
There's some
here,
jerky
Robert.
there, there's some nuts, there's some chips and salsa. These things are great because you can leave these out throughout the whole game because not much can go wrong with chips and salsa.
What kind of jerky is this?
Buffalo.
Buffalo jerky, yum. And you got the chicken wings, you got, and the nacho cheese. No, the below 40 degrees, and what was it, above
140 degrees.
140 degrees. So that cheese, you don't want it sitting out.
That's right.
Getting cool. All
That's right.
Good stuff.
and
How's
then-
the jerky?
It's chewy.
Well, you got plenty of other things to eat here,
Yes.
Dina, if you didn't like that one. But good stuff. Well, thanks for joining us
Well,
today.
thank you very much for having
Thanks,
us.
Robert. Good stuff. We got the tips
Appreciate it.
on the weekend page on our website.
We come back on a Saturday. We're going to be switching some dip here in a moment. But after that, we're going to hear another live performance from Nashville recording artist Jesse Brown, and we're going to check on our top stories on a Saturday. We're glad you're with us.